Alright, hi everyone. We're going to do a video on how to do our fantasy football data collection, and I'm going to kind of run you through just some of the basics. So here is the sheet that you were given by me in class, and it's basically a spot for you to record your roster and kind of tally up your score. And it's 2 pages. The front page has your roster, and the back page kind of has the information on how to get your scores. So we're going to run through this and kind of do a practice round just to kind of see if you kind of can get the hang of it. So let's assume that your quarterback is Aaron Rodgers. Well, I'm going to write in Rodgers A. Write that in on your piece of paper. We're just going to practice. You need to look up and find out how many touchdowns did Rodgers make this week, how many 2-point conversions, how many passing yards, rushing yards, interceptions, and fumbles. And we need to kind of tally up those scores basically. And we're going to be doing this for week 5. So be sure that you get week 5 written down so that you can, I'm going to change the color so you guys can see this, so that you're looking up the right data. So we're looking up week 5, we're looking up Aaron Rodgers, and we're going to do that simply by going to a couple of our websites. So we're working on looking up NFL Today, NFL.com, and FF Today, Fantasy Football Today. These are kind of the 2 sites. And if you're on, let's start with NFL.com. If you're on NFL.com, you're going to be going to this spot over here where it says Stats. We want to look up the stats for Aaron Rodgers. So we go to Stats. Okay, so what you want to do is go to Stats here, and we want to look up by name because we already know who we're looking for. We're looking for Aaron Rodgers. And I'm just going to do a search here for Rodgers. And then there he is, Aaron Rodgers. Awesome. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers, here's a whole list of stats on him. These are his overall stats, so let's click on him because we want to look at week 5 specifically. And there we go. There's Aaron Rodgers. He's had 12 touchdowns so far this season, 1 interception, and a whole lot of yardage. Well, down here you'll notice here's week 5, here's week 3, here's week 4. We want week 5 where he played against Minnesota. And you can tell by looking at the screen, if you're following my cursor, that he had a win. He got a W that week. And here are all the important stats that we need to be looking up. So let's go back to that sheet here for a second. We want to figure out how many touchdowns did Aaron make. So looking at touchdowns, all right. Well, let's use my cursor here. Passing touchdowns, he had 3. You see the 3 right there? So we're going to go ahead and record that Aaron Rodgers had 3 touchdowns. So let's write that down. 2-point conversions don't happen very often, so we're not going to worry about that unless we end up finding that there was a busy week with a lot of 2-point conversions. Let's just switch over to passing yards. Passing yards, here's passing if you're looking at the website, and yards is going to be right here in this column. So we have passing yards. Yards, he had 156 this week. We're looking at week 5. So 156. So we're going to write down 156 passing yards. 156. Then we want to know how many rushing yards did he have. So looking at the website again, here's rushing. You see rushing over on the right. Yards is right here, and it's blank. So it looks like Aaron Rodgers rushed for no yards. He wasn't running with the ball. So we're going to put in 0. And then we want to know how many interceptions and how many fumbles did he have. So we go back to the website, and you can see interceptions, INT, is right here under passing. And if you go down, look, he had 0 interceptions. So that's good. And fumbles is over here, FUM, fumbles. And it looks like he had no fumbles, no interceptions and no fumbles. So we're going to put in a 0 for his interceptions and a 0 for his fumbles. And once we get those numbers, now what we're going to do is take those numbers and do our math. So we have to go down and we have to use this formula to do our math. So I'm going to switch screens here now, and we're going to write out the formula and kind of practice this a little bit. So let's see, we'll put this down at the bottom so I can see it. So we're going to do our math here. So we have, our formula is 6t plus 2 V plus 3P plus R plus C minus I minus F plus 3 times FG plus PAT, kind of a long formula, plus 2 times safeties. Safety. That's our formula. And what we're basically going to do is we're going to go in and for every single one of these kind of record our stats. So like how many touchdowns did Aaron have? Well, we already recorded that in our table, remember? Aaron Rodgers had 3 touchdowns. So we are going to record 3 touchdowns. For V, V is referring to 2-point conversions. How many 2-point conversions did Aaron have? Well, we left it blank. We didn't find any. So we're going to say he had 0 2-point conversions. For P, we're talking about passing yards, and he had 156 passing yards. But there's a little bit more to that. So when I write down 156 for passing yards, I want to point something out to you. The rule with passing yards is you need to follow these directions. Number of passing yards divided by 25 and then rounded down to the nearest whole number. So we're going to take 156, we're going to take 156 divided by 25, and then we're going to round that down to the nearest whole number. So let's figure out what that is. 156 divided by 25 is 6.24. So we're going to round down 6.24. So 6.24 rounded down is 6. So we're going to put a 6 in there. R refers to our rushing yards. How many rushing yards did Aaron have? So we're going to go look at our table, at our rushing yards, and he had 0. So we're going to put a 0 there. And C refers to, let's see, what C means. C is the number of receiving yards divided by 10. So going back to our table, receiving yards is blank. Aaron Rodgers isn't receiving the ball. He's not catching the ball because he's the guy throwing the ball. So he has 0 receiving yards. So we're going to write down 0 for the receiving. And then I and F, we got to find these ones. I stands for interceptions. How many interceptions did Aaron have this week? Well, he had 0. So we're going to write down he had 0 interceptions. And then how many fumbles did Aaron have? So we go back and we look at his fumbles, and he had 0 fumbles. So we're going to put also a 0 here. Then these ones, FG stands for field goal. Well, Aaron didn't make any field goals. If you look, it's blacked out in the chart here. PAT stands for point after touchdown, and FG stands for field goal. These are what the kickers are doing. Aaron's not a kicker, so when we're doing our math, we're going to have 0 points for the field goal, 0 points for the point after touchdown, and I didn't see any safeties, so we're going to put in a 0 there as well. So basically, we just got to do this little bit of math. A lot of zeros, which makes Aaron Rodgers' math a little bit easier to do. And if this is 3, okay, so 6 times touchdowns, we're going to do 6 times 3, plus 2 times V, well, V was our 0 for 2-point conversions, plus 3 times all this, so 3 times 6 plus 0 plus 0, minus 0 minus 0, plus 3 times field goals, well that's 0, plus PAT, point after touchdown, 0, plus 2 times the safeties, 0. All these zeros are going to be kind of easy to deal with. So let's just do our simple math. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 2 times 0 is 0, plus 3 times 6 plus 0 is 6. So now we have, let's get this out of the way. Now we have 18 plus 0 plus 3 times 6. So 18 plus 0 plus 3 times 6 is another 18. And 18 and 18, we can add that up pretty fast. That's going to be 32. So our total score for Aaron Rodgers, total score is 36 points. So we go over here to our chart and we put in 36 points. And now we're ready to move on to our next player.